Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. There are still news and notes in basketball that we absolutely have to discuss. And I think there is a big piece of news that came down this past weekend on what I would say, in my opinion, probably the best player in the portal that is still available. That is that guy on the screen right there. You can see him, Boogie Fland, former guard at Arkansas. By now, everybody knows the story, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But Boogie Fland was, I actually thought he was a pretty good player at Arkansas. Now, I know there's some criticism because Arkansas started playing really well after he got hurt. But I've said it a million times. This was a player that was statistically, no sarcasm, was having one of the best seasons ever for a freshman guard in the SEC, was averaging about 16 points, 6 assists per game, had the best assist-to-turnover ratio in the SEC when he gets hurt. He ends up missing the rest of the regular season, comes back for the tournament, and after the season, everybody thought he was gone, right? So we've been through this. I'm not going to spend 9 minutes setting up what we found out this past weekend, but once he entered the portal, I said I thought he was going to return to college basketball last Tuesday when I was in Provo, Utah. We found out that Boogie Fland was officially returning to college basketball, and I said at the time that I believe that Florida was the favorite to land him. Well, we found out on Sunday afternoon that Boogie Fland, as we're actually recording here on Monday, is officially in Gainesville, Florida. He is visiting the Florida Gators on Monday and Tuesday. And as I tweeted on Sunday, I believe that Florida is the favorite. And I'll be blunt, I actually think that they could end up landing this kid sooner rather than later. By the way, worth noting, busy week for the Gators. Wednesday, they go to the White House to be celebrated as the 2025 national champion. We'll see if they can land Boogie Fland before this. As I tell you, from the start of portal season till the last commitment, this stuff is always fluid. It's always changing. So if you're watching this after Boogie Fland commits, don't get mad at me. But I believe he will ultimately be a Florida Gator. And I think it'll happen pretty much sooner rather than later. First of all, really quick, I know I just said it. I want to give this kid, listen, if you're an Arkansas fan, I understand not necessarily your frustration with Boogie Fland, but just the facts, the reality, the fact that your team was 0-5 in the SEC and struggling with him on the court, and that they played better after he got hurt and after he was out for the year. Now, to me, I think more of that is everybody else kind of falling into their natural role. DJ Wagner, the primary ball handler, rather than being off the ball. Nelly Davis being kind of that number 2, catch the ball, go to the hoop, than being a number 3. So I think part of it was just guys fell more into their natural roles. But at the same time, like I said, he was a very good college guard. And I believe next year, listen, I think he could be in the short conversation for like SEC Player of the Year if it all goes well. And so let's talk about Florida. Let's talk about why I think it's going to be Florida. And let's talk about the fit and what it would mean for the Gators. First off, why do I think it's going to be Florida? I'll just be transparent. Like, look at the calendar. It is May 19th right now as we are recording. The first part of that is a lot of rosters are already set. They don't have either the space, the spot, the financial resources to land a player of Boogie Fland's caliber. Kentucky's not taking any more guards. Arkansas, I don't believe a return to Arkansas is in play with Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas, and DJ Wagner, among others on that roster. You know, Auburn, assuming, of course, that Tahad Pettiford comes back, I think is largely set. Alabama is set in the backcourt. So you just go on and on down the list of teams that actually need a player like Boogie Fland. It really isn't that many teams. And I think the other reason that it's going to happen quick, it's just so late in the calendar. Like, it feels like, oh, we're still 6 months away till the start of the season. But here's the truth, is that Boogie Fland is out of the NBA draft. He's not, taking this down to the wire. Players can wait until May 28th to withdraw. We're going to talk about 2 of them in Darian Williams and PJ Haggerty in a minute. But at the same time, just because you can wait till May 28th, Boogie Fland ain't going to be that guy. Boogie Fland is a guy who is out, and now it's about finding a spot. And frankly, it's about finding a spot rather quickly. It's not so much at this point because spots have filled up, but it's also because you got to get to campus pretty soon. Okay. You just saw the video of me with AJ DeBonce. AJ DeBonce is already on campus at BYU. There are plenty of other places where players have either already enrolled or frankly are going to enroll in coming weeks. Bottom line is, if you follow this stuff, most of these schools like to have their kids on campus shortly after Memorial Day for summer workouts, for summer, the coaches get 8 weeks during the summer to work with players. And then also on top of that, to get them going academically. So it might feel like we have all this time till the start of the school year, till the start of the season. There really isn't that much time, because ultimately you need to get to campus to start summer school. And for most schools, that's probably going to be shortly after Memorial Day. So this recruitment, this is in high school. It's not going to take 6 months, a year, whatever. It's going to happen pretty quickly. And what I will say is I think it's going to happen quickly. If it's Florida, I think this is a total game changer for the Gators. And it's funny, Ken Nottingham in the chat brought up the point of, hey, I'm a BYU fan. We're getting ready to go to Vegas for opening night of the college basketball season. Remember, we have a doubleheader in Vegas opening night. It's BYU Villanova, but the first game is Arizona, Florida. And Ken Nottingham says, how are they number 18 in the country? This is the Florida Gators he's talking about. I actually have Florida a little bit lower than number 18. I have them at like number 23. But I'm also willing to admit, if they land Boogie Fland, I don't want to say when, because anything can happen, but I feel pretty good about it. If they land Boogie Fland, I'm ready to start talking about them right at the top of the SEC, just like they were at this time last year. Because you look at who they have coming back, who they've brought in, and I think two things are true. I think there are a lot of very nice pieces on that roster already, but I think they need that dude in Boogie Fland. They need a dude, period, but I think Boogie Fland kind of makes sense for the spot that they're looking to fill. You look at who could potentially be back, who will potentially be back. Most of the front court is set. They're coming back. Ruben Chinyelu, starting 5, is coming back. Micah Hanlockton, who was the starting 5 2 years ago, gets hurt, comes back late in the season this past year, was kind of working his way back. He is coming back to Florida. And then Thomas Hawk, who, of course, was a key part of that national championship run. I forget if it was the Auburn game or the Houston game, but he basically carried Florida for a big stretch because they were struggling offensively. Well, he's coming back. I think he's a future NBA player. And then the big question becomes, what is the future of Alex Condon? 6'9", 6'10" forward. He himself was at the NBA draft combine last week. He was one of those many players that we mentioned, along with Otega Owe, Carter Knox, Tahad Pettiford, guys like that could, in theory, come back to college after the NBA draft combine. So I would assume right now, I would probably lean toward Alex Condon coming back. He was a player that actually struggled a little bit kind of during that tournament run, was really hot in the middle of the year and kind of cooled off. So you have a great front court, maybe the best front court in college basketball. I haven't taken the time to really think about it and break it down. But then the counter to that is the backcourt I still think is thin. You obviously lose the 3 guards from the national championship team, Walter Clayton, who I think better be a top 15 pick, or the NBA, I don't know what they're doing, Will Richard and Elijah Martin. And then, of course, Denzel Aberdeen, who you expected back, ends up transferring and playing at Kentucky next season. By the way, I saw he was somewhere wearing Kentucky gear this weekend. It's done. He's going to Kentucky. So you need guards. They did add Xavier Lee, the guard from Princeton. But while I like Xavier Lee, I don't love Xavier Lee, and I don't think he's a guy you can build a whole backcourt around in the SEC. And so if Boogie Fland goes there, I do think it's that missing piece. Like I said, 16-6 when he was healthy early in the season. And I'll say this, I think you put him in that system with Todd Golden, I think it could be just instant success. Bottom line, listen, I think Todd Golden, do you need me to confirm that Todd Golden is a rising star, if not a star in college basketball right now in college basketball coaching circles? I don't think you need me to confirm at this point. The guy just won a natty, okay? But the thing that he does better than anything, I think he does a great job of evaluating guys that will fit in how he wants to play and will fit in terms of being successful at Florida. Walter Clayton, Will Richard, Elijah Martin, these were guys that all came from other places. They did a good job of evaluating them, getting them in the system, and getting them in the program. And so to me, it just feels like a perfect fit for Boogie Fland, because Boogie Fland, listen, he went through the NBA draft process this year, but he's not trying to be a 4-year college player. Now, maybe the money will end up being so good in college basketball that he ends up staying year over year. But I think he wants to go somewhere where he can play, have the ball in his hands, and get to the league as quick as possible. And so, again, Florida to me makes the most sense. There are other schools. Like I said, I don't think there's a ton. We mentioned North Carolina last week as maybe a spot. I still think North Carolina kind of needs a dude. So can North Carolina figure out a way to get him on campus? I think it was Tar Heel Illustrated that reported that they have reached out to Boogie Fland now that he's officially withdrawn from the draft. But to me, Florida is the one that makes sense. Florida is the spot that he will probably land. And if he does, we're going to have to update that top 25, because I think once you put him on that Florida roster, it is a conversation about him and the Gators being, I think, easily a top 15 team, maybe top 10. And I'd put them right in the short conversation in the SEC with a Kentucky, with an Arkansas. I think that's your top tier right there once Boogie Fland, if Boogie Fland officially goes to the Gators. But Boogie Fland, it's Monday at about 6:21 Eastern time. I think Boogie Fland ends up being a Gator. And if he is, we'll adjust our top 25 accordingly. We'll get a little piece of content out of that. So we'll see what happens with Boogie Fland. Again, this stuff is always subject to change. He might commit by the time you see this. If he does, don't get mad at Torres. But this recruitment isn't going to go long. I think he's going to be a Gator. If he isn't at this point, I would be shocked. But maybe in North Carolina, maybe somebody else can get in the mix.